In this video, we're going to learn how to find the area of squares and or rectangles. So take a moment to look at your iStep math reference sheet. If you see at the very top it says area of rectangle, I would like you to write that at the top of your worksheet now. So I want you to write A equals LW. All right, so we're going to start with the first problem on your worksheet. So again, we need to figure out the area of a square. And I know this is a square because the length and the width are both 9.8 centimeters. They are the same size. So first we need to do is write down the formula, which you just wrote on the top of your paper. So we're going to write A equals LW. And what that stands for is area equals length times width. All right, so all we need to do is label the square now to label what is the length and what is the width of this square. So the length is the top or the bottom of the square. So this is L. And the width is the sides of the square, which is W. All right, so now we need to take the numbers that we just had and we need to plug them into our formula. So I would rewrite A, because we are still finding the area, equals, the length is 9.8, so I'm going to write 9.8. And then I'm going to multiply it by 9.8. And I'm going to show multiplying how we've shown multiplying before as parentheses 9.8. All right, so all we have to do now is type in our calculators, 9.8 times 9.8. And we get 96, so A equals 96.04. All right, however, we have to label. I always say labeling is very important. So if we look here, we have centimeters times centimeters, all right, which means that our label is going to be cm squared. We're going to take that unit and we're going to square it. All right, another way to think about this is we're working with two-dimensional shapes. So they're 2D shapes. So that 2, we got to write 2 right here. So 2D shapes, units are squared. Okay? Or if you multiply two things together that are the same, you square them. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So this is number 2 on your worksheet. All right? So now we have an area of a rectangle. The reason this is a rectangle is because the length and the width are different measurements. All right, so again, I want you to write, I'm going to give you a second, I want you to write the area of a rectangle or square on your worksheet. Next, number 2. Great, you should have written A equals LW. Okay, so now we're going to label our length and our width. So I'm going to label 12 inches as our length and 6.2 inches as our width. Knowing that, all right, we're going to now substitute it back into our formula. All right, so we're going to say A equals, if length is 12, I'm going to write 12. All right, and I'm going to multiply it by 6.2. So A equals 12 times 6.2, which is 74.4. I want you to now write the units next to your answer based on what I said in the previous example. you should have written inches squared. All right, so we're going to try one more. All right, so I want you to start by writing the formula for area of a rectangle on your paper. Great, you should have A equals LW. I now want you to label the length and the width of this rectangle. All right, you should have labeled length times width. Now is a good time to point out that for a rectangle or a square, wherever you label the length or the width, as long as they are opposite sides, it doesn't make a difference, okay? But I like to think that the length is the bottom and the width is the sides, just so that I keep it consistent. All right, I want you to plug your numbers into the formula now. Great, so you should have on your paper A equals 4 times 12. All right, solve your area and write units. So your final answer should be A equals 48. MI stands for miles, so MI squared. All right. You are ready to go work on your own, so you need to finish the worksheet. You can go back and rewatch this video as much as you possibly need to. When you are done, check your answers. Remember that all but one correct is what you need to show mastery.